Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the series. Of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I am so excited for the first time to have her on the series. Beth Ditto is here. Gossiper back together. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. It is such a pleasure to have you. And obviously, I've been a fan for a very long time. And from the beginning days to the solo record a few years ago, but now we get the great news of a new album from Gossip. It's the first time in a little bit over a decade. It's called Real Power. Congratulations on this record. It is so good.
Thank you. That is very nice. Thank you. Thank you. I try not to listen. You know, like when things I think a lot of people are like that. I'm just like, I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it. So it's nice to know. I'm glad people are liking it. That's nice. So,
We should, I guess, back up a little bit, of course, because this is the reunion record, but this is sort of a reunion that's like 5 years in the making. Is that a right way to say it?
yeah, I think yeah. It's like the word reunion is always so funny to me because it just feels like no time has gone by. But I think that's just aging. But like, it started in I think 2019 as like it was going to be a solo project, and then I was in Kauai when working on it, and I was like, gosh, like, I just wanted it to like I really come from. I think the best things are the simplest things, at least for me. Like I don't like to think about anything too much, except for when I'm at night when I'm anxious with all the thoughts. But besides that, I don't want to think. So I thought, it was just time to ask Nathan to come. And I was like, well, maybe I should get Nathan to come and work on this record with me. And then it was supposed to be a solo record for me. And it just ended up, I was like, it just didn't seem right to not, to like not have Nathan's name too, like, and what it should be. And then like, and then to put out a record with Nathan, it would be called Gossip. And then if it was going to have me and Nathan, it was going to be Gossip, then it had to have Hannah too. And I think it's just very, very, I guess, gossip like the way that we're not very good at planning things. So like, I think had that not been the way that it worked out, like had I not been working on something and I was like, oh, then I think if it had been planned, I don't think it would have worked out the same way. Does that make sense? Like it had to just be like, oh yeah, oh, this is happening now,
That's the way
which
I
is
like to
the
travel.
way gossip started.
Yeah.
That's the way. But pardon, what'd you say?
No, it's good. That's the funny thing. It's my wife and I, we were talking like, she likes to plan. If we're going on a trip, like she's the one who plans 5 months in advance, tries to pay for
Oh, I
everything
say
5 months. It's like, just tell me the day before that I'm going to go somewhere.
same. That's the thing. It's like I'm just like I just realized that about myself too. It's like don't give me details. I don't want detail because it's too much. I'm just like tell me the time, tell me the day, and actually tell me really close to the day because don't get mad if I don't remember because you told me a month ago, and or if you wrote it in an email, that's never going to work for me. Like text me the day before, let me know what I need to do. That's period. Like yeah, I think that's the way most of us work. Like yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But does she have an entire like itinerary for you to follow and stuff too?
Sometimes, depending on the situation, she has
Where are
in
you
certain
going?
situations. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Where's your trip to? Where y'all
Well,
going?
there's different places like in the past that we've done that. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it was like we took a road trip around New England, and it was kind of nice to be like, oh, we need to hit these points on these days. But outside of that, it's just like just put me in the car and we'll
Let's not.
figure it out as we go. The rest of it, like we found the balance.
Yeah, yeah. Good. That's great. Good for you. I feel like Hannah is always she's kind of like the planner. Like she very much needs a plan. And then there's me and Nathan who are just like untamed cats. We're just like cats in a car, like with like just like on the way to the vet, but somehow we got out of the pet carrier and we're just like, like it's like, just don't, just don't tell me. Like, and then too, it's like, you interview people, but I'm always just like, I think people like to give, I think it's different people work different ways, but I can like some people like to give me a lot of information about who's going to be the interviewer and stuff. I'm always just like, can I just find out? I'll find out when I get there. Like I would always rather that. Like, it's always better.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we're getting to know each other over this.
Yeah. And then you don't have this idea of what they are in your head, or like, but some people like to know, but I'm just like, I'll figure it out when we get there.
Just figure it out when we get there. 100%.
We'll know. We'll know if we're lost. We'll know. We'll know. Yes.
Then you add in Rick Rubin to the equation. And we get this idea, people who haven't worked with Rick, I haven't worked with Rick, but we have this idea, that like he is the great Buddha of the recording studio.
Yeah.
Like I hear from so many artists, it's like, not in like a cliche hippie way, but it's almost like, hey, you're gonna find your own way. I'm just here to make sure that you stay on the path.
Kind of, yeah. I think that's the thing, is he doesn't get in your way, and that's there. It's funny because what I was just saying there, and I was like, we'll know when we get there. Like, we'll get to know each other when we're there. One of the most incredible things, the first time we ever worked with Rick was on music. Well, no, it was the second time, but in the studio though, was Music for Men, and I think I can never remember, but I think that was like 2008, 2007.
Yeah, right.
I was really young. I think I was like 26, 27, and so yeah, I don't know, who fucking knows, but I remember because I was really nervous because I was just like going in there. And I was like, okay, like we had met, we had talked, we'd hung out a little bit. And I was like, so what's the plan? What's the process? And he's like, we'll know when we'll know when it's over. And I was always like, dunk. I was like, damn. And I was like, now this is what I'm talking about. Because like, I feel like there's all these things about like, discipline and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, none of that sounds fun to me. I don't, if I wanted to be disciplined, I would do something completely different. Like this, I'm not in it to be disciplined. This is not a thing, like, different strokes, different folks, but it's just not my jam. And so when he said that, I was like, oh, even professionals do it. So I was like, it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. But that's changed my entire approach to almost everything. It's like, we don't need to know. We'll know when we get there. But in that, it's just what's such an incredible thing to say. And I always wonder too, sometimes I'm like, I wonder what it's like when he works with other bands, because I wonder if the way that he, or like groups, or the word artist, but like, I always wonder if he adapts to like what they need in the moment.
This is how I hear about him working most of the time. Like, I think your experience, not to say that things aren't, personalized, but I think your experience is the overall.
It's very special, and we're married, so please. Like, he's actually he's actually my twin flame, so could you not? Like,
well, it's okay, because I'm speaking for him at this point. I've never met him anyway, so it's.
Oh, please do. I bet he loves that. He loves that you speak for him.
What I do want to hear about, though, because hearing about you, so when you talk about Rick and everything, and in the studio, you said there's a lot of talking through emotions and asking questions. Like, what kind of questions? Like, what is he trying to pull out of you?
I don't know if it's like he's asking for, I don't know. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like it's like that at all. At all. This could also be, I feel like actually I ask most of the questions because I love to know about people. Like, that's what's hard for me in interviews, honestly. It's like, I like the conversation of it. Like, I want to know what you're doing and what you're up to, and like what your wife's name is. Do you have kids? When did you get married? How long has it been? Like, is it expensive to buy a house in Louisville? Like those things I had to shut off. Like, I really do, because also I realized, like, I always say, I'm just like, never, ever, ever assume that this is going to be a 15-minute interview. It's never, because it's not enough time. But anyway, yeah, with Rick, like, I ask him so many questions. Like, I like to know. Oh, I mean, especially it's fun when you're working with somebody who's worked at what they do for so long. And I like to know what it was like when, I loved asking about the 80s. And, because he's been sober that whole time. And like, he was talking about like how they would I'd be like, that was one of my favorite answers is, it's like, I was always so intrigued. Like the 80s in New York, and like the Beastie Boys things, and not necessarily because I'm like, tell me about the Beastie Boys, wild. But what I thought was so intriguing and I wanted to know more about was like, he was sober and going to these clubs. Like, and I was like, so what was it that made you like stay? And like, he would stay up all night at these clubs, like, and his answer was the music. That's what he went there for. And that kept him go, it made him go back. It made him excited and stuff. And I was always just like, that's so fucking badass. Like that stuff really intrigues me, I think. And then I'm like, so what street did you grow up on? Well, you say, I love the way he says Long Island.
Long Island.
I think that he has a West Coast accent now, of course, like, but there's certain words that he'll say Long Island, or like there's certain words that I think are really funny. But I think one of the things I love about working with Rick specifically, one is that he's so good with Nathan, and like he loves Nathan's my bandmate and plays guitar and bass, but he like, this is Nate, what if he's right here? It's like, Nate, he's right here. Anyway.
And bring him in.
Nathan would be like, no, he can't be tamed. I think he just was past us earlier. We're outside talking, but I was outside talking with my friend, and he was like, took my friend to Zara, got her a blazer. Like, it was like, that's Nathan's life. Anyway, work. But I don't know why I'm talking about that. Hold on, I have to get back on. Oh, the thing I love about that is that Nathan is the thing. I love the way that he respects Nathan and sees him as like, sees him as talented as I do, and here's what I do with Nathan, because he's not some technical virtuoso, and to like have somebody like, because rock and roll can be so gross and like macho and like whatever, and like Rick doesn't have that either, like, because it takes you out of what's actually happening. And I'm sure he can adapt when it is macho, and he has worked with people like that, but like it's not like this thing, it's just like, it's not a pissing contest, it's, it takes you into like what it really is. And it's back to that thing where it's like about the sounds and what you can make with what you know, and how Rick is really, really good at seeing that and shaping it and like respecting it and just letting you do what you do and getting out of the way. I love that about him. And sometimes I felt, because I'm such a big Nathan fan, I love him so much, and it's such a joy to be in a band with somebody that you do love what they are, like you're just like, wow. And he's so fucking funny. He blows my mind all the time. But like, I think that's one of my favorite things about Rick is how much he appreciates him as much as I do. He kept saying, oh, that's Beth's secret weapon. I was like, it's not my secret weapon. It's not Beth's anything. It's just, he's just like, this isn't me. What is that? What do I have to do with it? But I was always like, yeah, it's not so secret, but like, I love that we just talk a lot, really. And he's fun to talk to because he loves music too. And he's also fun to disagree with. I think I'll be like, I don't think so. Like, I told him, I was like, Rick, I'm going to name this record Gender Fluids. And he was like, I'm offended. I was like, please, like things like that. Like, I think it's really funny too, to like kind of like be funny with how funny he is. But I think it's really important to me to be able to have like it's important to have fun, like talk, and to just be chill. It's not about just being at work. And then that's my favorite thing. But maybe he has some like secret process that I don't know about, and I'm like, he's in my psyche and I don't know it or something. But to me, it just seems like we're hanging out. And the other thing that we haven't talk a lot. I don't apologize, but thank you. So thank you for listening. That's my new thing, is to stop apologizing. I'm sorry I'm talking so much on your show where you're supposed to talk.
Yeah, you're the one supposed to talk here, not me.
What if I was like, yes. Like my Sam Kinison outfit. I love wearing a beret, but I look just like Sam Kinison. Like, every time and I love them so much that I always look like Mama Fratelli. I feel like Mama Fratelli from Goonies, and I feel like in a lot. But anyway, you know what? Iconic. Just kidding.
It looks great.
Thank you.
You really do. You look great.
Also, Sam Kinison. Come on, you see it.
But I also love Sam Kinison. I mean, those.
We were talking about this the other day, because I make that joke every time I wear a beret, because I'm trying to beat people to the punch. I'm like, just before you even say anything, I'm aware that this is Kinison. But anyway, but yeah, we were talking about. I was like, what was his joke ever? Anyway, I can't remember one joke.
You know what his joke was? It's sort of like Bobcat Goldthwait. It wasn't so much the words; it was how he said it.
It's at the same point.
It was that he would be in the middle of a line, and then it would take off into a scream. It was like, went to the grocery.
I know. I'm just like, what is he? It turns out too that he grew up Pentecostal, and like for a moment was a Pentecostal preacher, and I was like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My granny was Pentecostal. My granny Ditto, bless her heart, she was so sweet. so country, but yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I never do.
We got somewhere.
Subway? We got Subway? We got Subway.
It's no, it's
We got
okay.
a meatball coming in. You know what? You wouldn't believe this, but it's, what is it? Is it, how many, I used to work at Subway. Oh my God. How many meatballs are you supposed to put on a 12-inch? I want to say 6, but I'm thinking it's 5. Just saying that. Anyway,
There's a
now you,
mystery that I didn't know that I would want to know when we started this
oh, we're
conversation.
gonna know about Subway, I'll tell you.
Well, I want to ask
So,
you about some of the songs
those
too.
are the only jobs I ever had. I don't have skills. I don't know how to type. I don't know, like, I don't know. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Sam Kinison. My friend came up with she said, she called it volume humor. And I was like, that is so funny. Like, I want to know what the other side is like. What's the quiet end of volume humor?
Right, quite well. You'd have like mumblecore. That would be.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
that,
See, it works. It's so funny. Volume humor. If I say it louder, it gets funnier. It's so funny.
let me use where we are, because I was going to ask about this anyway.
That way.
Because fashion, such a big part of your
Oh,
personality as
darling.
well.
What, this Target jacket, Target beret, and Azos top?
But still, actually, I'm wearing almost everything Target as well. I can't.
Why do I love it? I love it.
Honestly, I live right down the street from one, and it's just easy. But
I would
yeah.
really.
But what I'm getting at, like, do the two talk to each other? Does your musical persona and your fashion, do they influence each other?
Yeah. Well, I think, growing up, like, it was such an amazing, like, that was the best part. It was like, if I hadn't been in a band, hopefully, if I'd done anything constructive in my life, and just was lucky enough that got to be in a band and like we're at the right place at the right time, had that not happened, I would have been a hairdresser or a makeup artist. That's what I wanted to do. For one, I was always that girl in school that was like, can I do your hair? Can I do your hair? Can I do your hair? Like, that was my favorite. And makeup and stuff. So I always really, really liked that. And of course, and then I got older and discovered like punk rock, and there's all these incredible images, like just like everything was so visual, and like it all went hand in hand. And like I just really always loved the way even like political movements had fashion, and like not fashion but a look attached
Sure.
to them. Like I always was really drawn to that too, like, from hippies to beatniks to like, the Black Panthers, and then you had like now, and you had like the feminist movement and like Riot Girl and like all of those things. That was just really, I mean, even like straight edge kids, like whatever. It's like they all, there's this thing, and I always thought that was really, really cool and interesting. I loved that. And so it's kind of nice that I get to have a job that like I get to just dress up, and it's lovely that I know so many creative people too, that I can sometimes, I don't always ask because sometimes I get a little bit of poor shame. Like, I don't know if you know this. Are you familiar with poor shame?
What is
Where you're
that?
like,
Oh,
well, it's what it sounds like.
yeah, right. I put it together as soon as I asked the question.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute. When you grow up poor and you don't have what you need, and so like you feel bad asking for something, and like, yeah, it's a whole thing. But the whole point was like, I know all these creative people, and that they're like, you can ask them to make you something like to wear, and that's incredible. Like, so great, it's so cool. It's to me, it like goes hand in hand, and I enjoy it. Luckily, I enjoy it because I think some people really don't enjoy it. Like if they, they feel like it's just part of it, and that would feel terrible. That would be really hard.
Right.
But I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we benefit from it, by the way.
You're
Because
welcome.
it creates this world.
Hmm?
It creates this world, and I think that's,
Yes.
for us, that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Welcome to my world. You can come into my closet. It's full of Old Navy. It really is. Like, it's like, I don't know. I don't think there's any, like, it's the funniest. It's so, I don't know. I get lost in it. Like, I'm not super fashion savvy. Like, I don't know. Like I have some friends that are like, oh, like Oscar de la Renta, 1985, with a long cigarette. And I'm just like, cool, that's really pretty. You know what I mean? But like, I just really enjoy like people and their clothes. Like, I don't think there's anything more exciting than when you see somebody and they're fucking feeling themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if it's fucking outrageous. And you're like, you know what? You woke up this morning and you had one choice and that was it. They dreamed about it. They were like, this is what's going to go on tomorrow. We're going to get on the bus and we're going to look fucking insane and it's going to be amazing. Like, it's just like what they do. That's my favorite thing in the world. But like, I don't know. Does that even answer your question? I'm the worst.
It absolutely answers the question. I want to jump off something else you said too, though, because you were bringing up the political movements, and you mentioned that, and you have the song "Real Power" on here, and I was thinking, like, for all the things that you all have sang about through the years, not that we've made it to the progressive promised land, but so
Oh,
many
here we
things
go.
have happened. So many things have happened for the positive that you used to sing about in the past, and when you have a song like "Real Power," when you know when you have when you're calling it the album that on top of it, like, what does it say? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, do you take that moment to look back and say this is what it has encompassed over these past 20 plus years?
What do you mean?
Well, again, like, so much, you've been so progressive to push on the things, and that progression has actually happened.
Oh, oh, yes, I see. I think this is what you're saying. I find it incredible to be, well, for one, I feel like I'm of a few minds about that. And one of them is like incredible to see, to be 43 years old and like to look and like just how empowered I think how like queer youth are. And like then you remember, you're like, man, but this is why you fucking do it.
Mhm.
Like, it's not it's not because of me, but it's because of all of these people that were doing shit and making art and speaking their minds and being emotional and creating something and like trying, because the thing is that you have, it's so hard when you're talking to people. And I'm sure when I was 20 something, I know when I was 20 something that it's like, you don't understand that like change is so, it does never happens quick enough, it's that it's been an incredible thing to be 43 and see 23-year-old trans women and like trans men making these incredible like just albums and art, and then just like queer people as a whole, like all of us, and like all of these different kinds of people making all this different art, and like it starts to be in the top 10 and you're like, this is what you want, this is what you always wanted.
Mm.
I don't think there's anything more incredible to see happen. And like, and all of that being said too, I think it's important to say, very important to say, that in our country right now, the United States, it is a shit show and it's frightening. I don't think I cannot drive this home enough. Like, I feel it to the point I'm repeating myself. I think when when in a movement and change, when when things are starting to be, what's the word, like motivated, and people are starting to like, what's that word? I'm the worst with words. Yeah, I'm seriously in conversations, like I've like, people will be talking to me, I'm like, stop. What does that word even mean?
Yeah,
You
right.
gotta, don't pretend you know what the word is. It's not gonna work out. It's never gonna work out. Anyway, but what's that word? Like motivated, like what is that word when everybody gets together?
Um,
Yeah,
I'm trying
when
to find
everybody,
out where you're going. Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? When everybody gets together and they decide, they make a decision to make a movement, and they were doing
Right.
that. And then everything gets, like then that the movement starts, and then that starts to like build momentum, and then all of a sudden it's being discussed in pop culture and and all these things, and because of all that work, of course it starts to affect like people, like we are demanding these very minimal rights, and then of course that becomes a debate in pop culture and in politics. The effect, it's like there are all these incredible changes, and I think what we're going through right now that's really important, especially important to remember, is that it feels so hard when you see people debate your right to exist. It's I don't think people understand, and that happens in every social, political, every single political movement. It's like you have people that don't think you deserve the most basic respect.
Right.
It is fucking crazy.
It's
And
fucking
I
crazy.
think it's wild, and like, and not even open to like hearing what your experience is like, you know. And I think that's what we're going through right now, and it's really important to have compassion for each other. Everybody that is trying to make a change, we're all just doing our fucking best. But for all of the good things, I don't want to take away from how beautiful and love, how incredible it's been for queer culture, in pop culture, and in art, because we've always been doing it. We've always been there making the art. I mean, if you look in your background, it's like in all the posters that you're looking at, it's like, it's like, I mean, no, which weird is Depeche Mode not gay? Who knew? When I found that, it blew my mind. I was like,
Right.
not one person in this group. Wait, is one gay? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh,
But you got Michael Stipe here, you got David Bowie, you know, and that's
exactly, that's what I mean. It's like exactly. It's like that is like what I'm trying to say. We've always been making art. We've always been there, and to be recognized for it, and to be like put into, you know, like, yeah, to gain respect, to earn a living, you know, like to use the bathroom without worry, like those things, like they're all connected. And I think, you know, not to take away from the positive at all, but I just want to say that I know that it also feels like if you're not making art and you're just a person, you know, you're a person, just a person, and you're a regular person, but like, you know, if you're not finding, you know, if that's not what your goal is to be in the top 10 or whatever, and you're just at work and trying to get by, like, it's important to remember that, you know, this is what happens in social movements, and it shouldn't happen. It's like just to be recognized as a human being. It's fucking horrible. But what I'm trying to say is
because people should just be able to live their life without worrying about what anybody else, like, if you, as long as you're not hurting anyone, right?
I do feel really positive about it, but I also just feel like I always have to point that out because I have to go off on a tangent always.
No, you've made
Also,
incredible
sorry,
music.
but at the end of the day, listen, I'm usually full throttle.
You've made incredible music, and you really have. And I'm so glad that the band is back together making this album. And I'll close by also saying that I loved watching you on Becoming a God in Central Florida and Monarch and everything that you did out there.
Thank you. Monarch was wild, but you know, and great. I made a lot of great friends and stuff. What a wild show. On Becoming a God, I said, I wish COVID never, I mean, for a lot of reasons, man, I wish COVID never happened. Do you ever hear that? You ever hear anybody say that? What profound. Yeah, but I really enjoy it. But thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah. Congrats on this album too. And seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Thank you. And I wish we had more time. I really appreciate it. I love your room.
I love your whole persona and person.
Thank you. I love Chief. I love it. I wish we had more time to talk about Southernness and being.
Let's do it next time.
Yeah, we should.
We'll do it.
Viney weenies across the board.
Viney weenies. That you said it the right way, right?
Yeah, if you want to start a podcast just called Viney weenies, and where we just go to Arkansas to the dumbest shit, like to urban legends that were made up, you know, like that's all. It'll never happen, by the way. But yeah, Viney weenies, only one way. Viney weenies.
I can't wait to have this part 2. Thank you, Beth. We'll see you. Bye. And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.